Hello, in this demo we'll show you how you can run the Gloo Platform Portal Developer Portal UI on your local machine and in your Kubernetes cluster. The DevPortal UI is the UI frontend for the Gloo Platform Portal, and it's a React-based application. The instructions can be found on my GitHub repository, and the prerequisites for this video are a Kubernetes cluster, Gloo Platform Portal installed on the cluster, and I've created a video about that earlier, kubectl, NVM, and Yarn. So let's first check our environment and see if everything is up and running. We do that with the mashctl check, and we can see that the portal server is up and running. And we can now check whether the Gloo Platform Portal server is available as well, and if it's hosting any APIs, and we use JQ for pretty printing here. And we can see that the portal server is up and running, and we've got our catastronauts, our tracks API nicely deployed on our portal. So next, let's build the DevPortal frontend from source. We're gonna set the NVM version that we want to use, so that will be NVM version 16. And once we've done that, we can use the following command to bootstrap the DevPortal starter UI application from our main GitHub branch. And we provide a name, so in this case we do solo.io. And when we now check the directory, we can see that the projects folder has been created, as well as a makefile and a Docker file. To configure the portal, we need to set some environment variables. It needs a portal server URL that points to the portal server REST API with which it needs to communicate, and also some OAuth, OIDC, IDP information for OAuth-based authentication, like the token endpoint, the authentication endpoint, the logout endpoint, and the client ID of the client with which we want to log into the OAuth provider. I'm using Keycloak in this environment, which is running on my Kubernetes cluster. So we copy the command, which creates this .env.local file, and we can see that those variables have now been added to that file. So that has been set. We can now use the make install tools command to do the tools installation that we need for compilation. And once that has finished, we can now run the UI with the make run UI command. And the UI is now running on 127.0.0.1.4000. And when we open that URL, localhost 4000, we can see that the developer portal is running there. So let's check the APIs. And as you can see, there's nothing there. And the reason for that is that we've got a CORS issue here, which prevents us from accessing the DevPortal REST API. Luckily, CORS policies are very easily applicable and configurable within the Gloo platform. So what we simply need to do is we need to apply a CORS policy that allows access from the DevPortal server UI to our portal server REST API. And in the instructions, we can see the CORS policy here. So that basically allows on all routes that are labeled with the label route portal API, which is the route that we use to expose our developer portal. We allow the following headers, the allow methods, and the origin from localhost 4000, which is the origin that our DevPortal UI is running at. So we copy the policy and we apply it. And once we've applied the policy, we can now see that there's communication possible between the portal server, the portal UI, and the portal server REST API. Apart from running the DevPortal UI locally, we'll also want to show you how you can install the DevPortal UI in your Kubernetes cluster using Helm. So for that, I've created a Docker container image with the DevPortal UI frontend, and we have a demo Helm chart repository that contains the Helm chart to install both the Portal Frontend deployment and Portal Frontend service on your Kubernetes cluster. So first we need to add the Helm chart repository to the Helm repos on your local system. And we use a Helm repo list to check that the repository is actually there. So we can now use the Helm charts in that repository to install the DevPortal frontend UI. So let's use the Helm install command to do that. And this will install the Portal frontend in the Gloo Mesh add-ons namespace. You can also customize the Helm chart and provide a values file that has the configuration parameters that we showed earlier to configure the location of the portal server URL, the location of your IDP, and so forth. So that makes the Helm chart installation quite flexible and applicable in any environment. So when we run this command, we can see that the status is deployed, and we can do a Helm list command to check the Helm deployments in the Gloo Mesh add-ons namespace, and we can see our GP Portal demo DevPortal UI deployment there. We can also check the resources on our Kubernetes cluster in the Gloo Mesh add-ons namespace, and when we do that, we can see that the portal frontend container is being created. And after a couple of seconds, we can see that the portal frontend container is running. And to access the frontend, we are going to use a kubectl port forward of the portal frontend service on port 4000. And when we do that, we can now access the DevPortal UI via localhost 4000, but now with the portal frontend running in the Kubernetes cluster. And because we still have the course policy applied from the previous run, we can now directly access the APIs using the portal frontend, using the read-only view, using the Swagger view to interact with the APIs deployed on Gloo Platform Portal. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you at the next one.